The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Good day. Welcome to another fresh edition of your current affairs program on Leadership Television, The Big Issue. My name is Winifred Ugobo, your host on the program, and sitting beside me in the studio is leadership's analyst, the group political editor of Leadership newspaper, Chibuzo Ukaigbe.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. And of course, we have two gentlemen joining us live directly from Rivers State, where we have our correspondent, also leadership analyst, Anayo Onukuga. Anayo, you're welcome to today's The Big Issue. We also have coming from the table of Leadership newspaper, another in-house analyst, Paul Wadima. Good evening and welcome to the program. Hello, Paul. Hello, Anayo. Yes, on today's issue, we are looking at local government elections and matters arising. The Supreme Court's directive for local government elections to be conducted this October as a deadline has continued to elicit reactions from various quarters, especially from the governors of the state. From the high fixed fees for the purchase of farms to the burning of local government secretariats in Rivers, many Nigerians are skeptical about the much touted financial autonomy for local government. And just yesterday we read, and that is the news breaking out today, said the governor of Anambra State, Charles Soludo, has written a bill or whatever, a paper to the National Assembly to compel local government for deductions from their allocations from the federal government, which is even being awaited. These are the issues we are going to be looking at on today's The Big Issue. Chibuzo, what is happening? Ever since the Supreme Court gave financial autonomy to local government, it seems like the governors have not been at peace.
Well, thank you very much. And
we saw the Nigerian governors forum even meeting on the issue, and they said they are going to come up with recommendations eventually after their meeting. And today we read there's a report everywhere that even Charles Chukuma Soludo has already written to the State House of Assembly, to compel local government councils in the state for deductions to remain some certain percentages of their allocations, which they are not even received in the first place, to the state's consolidated account. What is happening?
Well, I think what is happening is perhaps Soludo is trying to test the waters to see how the polity will react to this new change to the status quo as to how local government should function, and whether there will be strong resistance to an attempt to undercut whatever plans have been made to give the local government some autonomy. So it will be interesting to see how far the day goes.
But given the fact that it's a state local government, who can stop him?
Well,
don't forget the State House of Assembly are also mainly comprised of the members of his party.
So that's the true test of what is about to play out. I understand that the Senate went into a closed door session, over this matter after a senator from the state, Tony Nwonye, brought it up on the floor of the House. So I don't know whether by now they've come out of the closed door session. So it will be interesting to see what the position the Senate takes on this, and whether they can explore legislative ways of ensuring that this does not work. Because of course, as the head of the judiciary, the legislature,
yes,
perhaps there will be. I don't know if they have the compelling any kind of compelling force to make the state chamber toe the line and resist that kind of provision. So we are looking at a possible clash between the federal a law and a legislation, in the sense that what happens if the state adopts that position, and
it becomes enough.
does it contradict what happens from the Supreme level? So I'm sure it's going to throw up a lot of legal discussions.
Yes, now, while we are before we delve into the matter proper, we also saw in Kano State, whereby the high price was peaceful, which has continued to generate controversy. The state governor put 10 million naira for the position of chairmanship, while 5 million for councillorship. It drew the eye of Nigerians, and the governor said he was reducing just 1 million naira apiece from each. What?
Well, perhaps it's another way of manipulating and determining who gets to be who.
Okay.
Because if the local governments are supposed to,
I think we have Paul joining us now. Paul, it's good to have you on the program. Okay, we have Anayo from Rivers State. Anayo, how are you doing? How is Rivers? Is it still wide Rivers?
I'm fine. I'm fine. The town is a bit calm because we have a new commissioner of police in town. Can you hear me?
Very clearly, yes.
And today he has visited at least 7 out of the 23 local government areas, especially those that violence were recorded in last Monday. This coming barely 24 hours after the governor set up a panel of inquiry to investigate the arson attack on some local government areas in the state. And the governor's decision is not going down well with some members of his party, the People's Democratic Party, who are demanding that he should first stop a panel to investigate the burning of the House Assembly complex on October 29, 2023. So where we are now, as the new commissioner of police, CP Mohammed Bala Mustafa, is moving around the council secretariats, he has assured the people of the state that there's no need for panic, that everything is under control. As from what he has seen, Rivers State is not volatile. That's where we are for now.
Now, before you came in, Anayo, we're talking about the local government elections. We are seeing a situation whereby in some states they pegged an exorbitant, outrageous high price. Like, for instance, Kano State, which pegged 10 million naira for chairmanship slot and 5 million for councillorship slot. How was it in Rivers State? How much did they part with for that form?
Okay, though they did not disclose the actual amount, they didn't make it public, but it wasn't more than 5 million naira for chairmanship and 2 million naira for councillors. They didn't make it public, but from what we got, it's 5 million naira for chairmanship and then 2 million naira for councillorship forms.
Okay. But how was the conduct of the election?
As you know, a day before the election, the police said they would not that they are withdrawing from it. Now, the state government mobilized the civil defense, immigration, road safety, and the Nigerian customs. They were the people that provided security during the election, and not even a single shot was fired or anybody killed. No, shots were fired in some areas because I came under fire at one of the places I visited, but nobody died during the election.
It was actually relatively peaceful.
Yes.
It was peaceful. Okay, we are moving ahead. We're just talking about today in the conduct of election. You know, Supreme Court ruling on local government financial autonomy. It has been drawing the eye of some governors. Like today, we heard that Governor Soludo has sent a bill to the National Assembly to compel local government to deduct some of their percentages from the allocations, which they are even yet to receive. What are your views?
I believe in Rivers State, I will speak based on where I am. In Rivers State, the state government, the governor, Live, Fubara asked the local government election so that allocations meant for the local government councils will not be withheld. Concerning the 3 months window given to the state government to conduct election by the federal government. So I believe if the allocations start coming, it will start coming straight to the local government councils and not to the state government before getting to local government councils again. Thank you.
Fighting against it, Chibuzo, I'll bring you in again with your views, because some state governors, like I just mentioned, Soludo, and this federal government or local government, autonomy is not going to be how feasible it is, because we are still saying that governors are still hijacking the processes. For instance, you see that most of the seats of this local government are won by the party of the governors.
Well,
was there transparency in that, or is there transparency in that?
I don't think much has changed. I don't think anything significant has changed yet. But it didn't change because the laws are not there to ensure that the right things are done. It's just a case of maybe people are not resolved yet to take their destiny to their hands and ensure that they express fully their rights to their views.
All right. Now, another issue that is also playing out is that many people are also of the opinion, Nigerians stakeholders are saying that as long as the states are still conducting local government election, there's not going to be autonomy, except given perhaps if INEC should handle this sole responsibility. What are your views on that?
Well,
but it should be true, going by what we are seeing presently.
It's neither here nor there. If the same sets of persons who conducted the last INEC elections that created a lot of logistic challenges get to manage these ones, won't we have the same results? So, I think for purposes of experimentation, it might not be bad to do that. At least to experiment and see which is better. But if there has to be significant change, there has to be an orientation change as well. So I think maybe we could explore that and see how far it gets.
Okay, we are going to be going on a break. When we come back, there's still so much to exploit in this topic today: local government election and matters arising. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
Leadership TV for Leadership TV for God and country.
Yes, you're welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is The Big Issue, and today's big issue, we are looking at local government elections and matters arising. Given the Supreme Court's ruling and the deadline, which is October, for the conduct of local government elections, it has thrown up a lot of controversies, and we are looking at some of those things that's coming up since from that Supreme Court ruling. Now, Chibuzo, I want to find out what actually are the implications if peradventure local government are expected to have that autonomy that, like the Supreme Court ruled.
Well, the implications will be obvious. Or rather, what will be the expectation?
Yeah, what are the
expectations? Will be that we'll have a much more decentralized governance, and development. It will not just be at the level of the states thinking, assuming they know what the people want. Because that is the whole essence of the local government system.
Yes.
Bringing governments as close to the people as possible. But unfortunately, what we have today is a total detachment. Meaning that the local governments no longer have that, there's no will. There's no willpower. There's even no orientation as to what they should do anymore. So these days we have the governors just assuming and doing everything. So they can make the argument that there is no need for a local government system. After all, they think the same roads we pass are the roads we do. There's no talk about trunk A or trunk B or trunk C.
Exactly.
The same hospitals that you go to are the ones we do. Whereas the local governments too could do some of those things because they are also listed as some of their responsibilities. So that is the dilemma we face about this whole situation.
Thank you so much. We have Paul Wadima joining in. Paul, it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Now, clearly.
I can hear.
Yes, Mr. Paul, I want to find out what are your views. We'll be looking at local government elections and matters arising. Of course, you are aware that October happens to be the deadline given by the Supreme Court for conduct of local government election. And since this came up, it has been throwing up a lot of issues from all the states. So, what are your issues? What is the implication first of this Supreme Court ruling on local government, on financial federalism, which Nigeria practices?
I think it's a good development. The Supreme Court ruling was a good development, but the challenge is that the conduct of the election has not been okay. Are you hearing me? Hello, can you hear me?
Very well. Continue.
Okay, the challenge is about the conduct of the election. You can see a situation where if Party A is the governor of a state, the governor belongs to Party A. Party A will sweep all the votes, all the chairmanship and councillorship position in that state. Okay, that's not good for democracy. I don't of the Supreme Court justices when they talked about local government autonomy. That was not their intention. A situation where party in power in a state will win all the seats. You can see the drama that happened in Akwa Ibom State, where in the local government area of the Senate president, his candidate, APC candidate, lost. But when they were now tabulating the results, they announced APC as the winner of the chairmanship position. And when the governor was confronted, he said, let that one pass. In other words, he wanted to make the Senate president happy by conceding APC seat for him. You understand what I'm saying? So, what I'm saying is the electoral process.
What you just said,
so
we also saw the same thing playing out in Benue, where APC won all the seats.
So the only solution is for the INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, to be conducting local government election. The State Independent Electoral Commission should be scrapped. As long as you have the State Independent Electoral Commission operating under this new autonomy granted by the Supreme Court, we are just wasting our time as a democracy. In any case, the INEC itself, they don't do much job. So what stops them from conducting local government election? We know that even the INEC itself, they are not free from corruption. Look at the sham election they conducted in 2023. But at least, if you have a situation where INEC is conducting it, there is a possibility that small parties could be able to win election. Okay? Like somebody like me, I'm happy with people of River State that they were able to conduct their election despite all the shenanigans by the former governor of the state.
However,
Okay,
Paul, you are aware that the AGF has already taken the case to the court, Supreme Court, for INEC to take over conduct of local government election, because that way we will have a balanced system. So we are waiting, Nigerians are waiting for the outcome of that when Supreme Court will give a judgment. Now, overview, local government financial autonomy. How does it bode well for practice of federalism in the country?
If we are a true democracy, if we are a true federalism, local government autonomy, having their money, local government having their money is the best way to go. But you know that the governors are already sabotaging it by putting their surrogates as local government chairmen. So when you put your surrogates, who are not, may not even be the most qualified to be local government chairman, you can also have access, tell them what to do. You can tell them where to spend the money. You can even tell them immediately the money arrives, send it back to the state. You see, in Anambra State, Professor Soludo has sent an executive bill for some percentage of the local government allocation to be sent to a joint account. Because joint account in itself is not an illegality. It is there in the Constitution. So we need to amend that section of the Constitution that made it possible for local government to have joint account with the state government. That is one thing that needs to be done in the National Assembly, and they have to do it quickly during this ongoing amendment of the Constitution. That section that establishes joint account between state and local government, that should be scrapped from the Constitution.
Now, quickly before we go, what other loopholes are you looking at that the Supreme Court or the amendment of the Constitution should take care of so that we can truly have autonomy, local government or financial autonomy in the true sense of it, without any hindrance or legs?
That's what I'm driving at.
Paul,
what I'm driving at is that if you have a situation where the Constitution makes it legal for you to have joint account, that was the basis of Professor Soludo sending that executive bill, because he knows that he can establish joint account. So the Constitution has made it possible, but the Supreme Court can also intervene, because Supreme Court, as the highest court in the land, is also a lawmaking body by their judgment. If they make it an illegality for states to establish a joint account, it will help. As I said, as long as the governors are putting their surrogates as local government chairmen, you cannot have real autonomy at the local government level. No matter what the Supreme Court says, you cannot have it. So this selection process, the selection process of chairman has to be reviewed, and that has to do by scrapping the State Independent Electoral Commission. That is the first step towards real autonomy. When you get that in place, and then with the Supreme Court granted financial autonomy, then you can say that we are moving on in the right direction. But right now, the Supreme Court judgment, while it is a good development, it is being celebrated. The truth be told, the process of the emergence of councillors and local government chairmen has handicapped, have defeated the whole essence of the autonomy that have been granted by the Supreme Court. That's my view on this matter.
All right, thank you so much. And are you there? I just want you to also give your views on that issue. What should be done by the Supreme Court? What loopholes need to be blocked so that governors cannot continue the same way they've been running?
Yeah, like I agree with Paul. The only way out is for the State Independent Electoral Commissions to be scrapped by the Supreme Court. Reason, because like in River State, the governor is of the People's Democratic Party, but all the council, 22 out of 23 local government councils were won by a political party that's not known, the Action People's Party. Only a chair local government that was won by Action Alliance. which means as far as it's the governor that handpicked those that won the election and decided who is going to win it. Whether there is financial autonomy for local government or not, the state government and the executive will continue to control the local government councils in the states of the country. That's my take on that.
Just before we go, Chibuzo, I have you in the studio. What do you expect the Supreme Court or the National Assembly to do regards to this Soludo's move?
Well, first of all, I think if they adopt what Mr. Paul and Mr. Naya,
but that will take a time. But now that Soludo has actually gone forward to say no, you must remit some percentage of your allocation when it's paid. What can be done to?
I don't know
stop him in his tracks.
You know, we discussed it earlier. Does the National Assembly have the rights to overrule a law being passed in a state?
Like what Paul just said.
So I'm not too conversant
because
about
we are here
that.
to get away with it now. You see, some other governors are going to follow suit. You know that.
That's what I said. Perhaps it's time to test the waters. So let's just try to test the waters to see what happens. So the quality of resistance that come from other stakeholders, not just the National Assembly, will determine whether or not other governments will follow suit.
Okay, Paul, I just want you to also lend your voice to this. What do you expect should be the way forward? Do you expect this Soludo issue now to be tackled? And other state governors are going to follow suit.
Forward is for those who are against it. Already there are some lawmakers who are against it. There are some politicians in Anambra State who are against it. Those people should go to court to challenge it. Because when they challenge it, the court will be able to give us interpretation on the way forward on this matter. Because Soludo is relying on the Constitution, but we are talking about the autonomy. Because that will make mess of the whole autonomy issue. If you can compel local government chairmen to release certain percentage of their allocation to the state to a joint account. So those who are against it, they should not just be against it by releasing through press releases. They should walk the talk. They should be able to take the matter to the next level. Let the Supreme Court, because when they challenge it at the court, it will eventually get to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will now look into it in line with their previous judgment on local government autonomy. That's the way forward. Because the way I see it now, other states would like to do the same. I understand the reason why some states may want to do it. Many local governments are not viable. Many local governments in Nigeria, they are not viable. They cannot even pay salary. So many local governments cannot pay salary. It is through that kind of pooling of funds together that the state used to intervene to help those who are not able to pay. We understand that, but that shouldn't be the case. If a local government chairman cannot pay salary, then he should be voted out in the election, in the following election, so that somebody who will be a better manager of resources will emerge, until we get to the point where local government chairmen, no matter how little their resources are, they will be able to manage it to the best of their ability, in the best interest of their people. That's my position on this.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having everybody on today's The Big Issue, talking about Paul Wadima, River State correspondent, Anayo Onokuga, and mine sitting right beside me in the studio, leadership analyst, political editor, Leadership Media, Chibuzo Okagbe. Thank you so much. And my name is Winifred Ubebo, your host on the program. I look forward to having you same time, same station for another fresh edition of the program. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-61 0858. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.